So Medellin really feels different than most other cities, and you notice this the minute you get into Medellin. So whether you come in by bus or from another place in Colombia, by taxi or by plane, you realize that this city, unlike many others that you might be used to, is very green. And on top of it being very green, they really take care of their plants. And I will show you what I mean by that now. So this is just one of very many little areas that are all around the city, and you will see that wherever you go in this beautiful city, there is green. And even though there's a lot of traffic, there's congestion, anywhere you go, you have these incredible trees, big flowers, and unbelievable diversity. And it's just wherever you go. I mean, look, we have this massive tree here, and inside of the tree you will find what looks like a little aloe vera plant growing inside the roots of the tree. And while you might think this is quite sort of special, the more you walk around Medellin, the more you notice that it's everywhere. I mean, look, we've just covered maybe about 10 meters, and in the midst of high rises like this, you will have giant palm trees like this. And this goes on and on. It's really quite wild. I mean, when you look at this place, or you walk through this place, and you're accustomed to maybe living in colder climates, you know, or at least climates with 4 seasons, you will be quite fascinated, at least I am quite fascinated, by the fact that the plants that people in Europe, North America, the plants that we buy to keep in our houses, Medellin just has growing on the side of the road. And it's just, it's an experience, to be honest with you. I mean, check this out. Palm trees. All these beautiful trees, flowers. I mean, look at this. Just standing on the side of the road. Everybody, or many of you, will be familiar with this, the common bedroom plant to clean the air, which here just grows a mass, large trees. Incredible. And now we're about to go into a little parque as well. And you see how the city just goes through all this nature. It's like, it feels like what Medellin does very well is kind of like coexist with nature. It's or incorporate nature into the city. I mean, we'll go quickly around and then enter a tiny park in the city, and it even feels like you don't even need parks, because really everywhere you go, I mean, look at this, just lush, big green, big palm trees, flowers growing. I mean, when I walk through Medellin, I feel like I'm walking through a botanical garden. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, just check. Okay, look at this. Giant trees, massive root systems, and they're just and like, you know, these plants, house plants for us here, just growing on the side. And in the meantime, city life is just running through it, you know. And this is now one of the parks. And I mean, look, we just saw like house plants, right, growing around here, and then massive bamboo, massive, what I'm guessing is Chinese bamboo.
Look at that.
And here,
It even
this
tells you a little bit like a botanical
yeah,
garden.
they really love and respect
Nature.
their nature, and I mean, wow, just wow.
Let's
So
go
yeah.
around the park.
And I don't know, I mean, you know, during COVID there was a massive spike of people getting into plants and gardening, right? Balcony gardening, everything understandable, happened to me too. But now, when you walk through Medellín with a certain love or fascination for plants, it really feels like you're discovering not just a new plant today, but a new species a day almost. And the beauty of it is, it's really, they seem to understand it with their architecture too. For instance, look at this building. You see along every balcony, there's different plants, flowers, and this is true for so many buildings or edificios in Medellín. And just to give you an example of the variety, so we just looked at so many tropical plants. That looks like literally, I mean, could be, I mean, I know it's not, but it could be like an African Sahara tree. But then on top of that, you have evergreens like this, sprinkled through. Giant monsteras over there, Monstera Deliciosa.
And always like baby
And they are
trees.
growing, yes. Be careful not to step on anything. And look at these monsteras just flying around. I mean, not flying around, growing around. Is there a mosquito in front of my face? So my brain got confused.
See the bamboo there?
Yeah, the bamboo. There's bamboo there. There was bamboo on the other side as well. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's just absolute
It's
green
just everywhere.
beauty. And this is just one. This is just one. Let me go across the street, show you a bit more, provided I actually survive the street. Thing about Medellín that you have to know is doesn't matter whether there are zebra crossings or not. People just drive. You kind of have to wait until there's no one for you to be able to cross the street. But now what I wanted to show you is this. Look at these, what looks like, I'm guessing birds of paradise, small ones. And then you go from there. I mean, what a view, right? You go here, and then you have this giant one. You have this beauty. And all of this is just permanently growing all over the place. And I mean, right now we're in Laureles, which is, so Medellín is kind of divided into what they call stratos. And stratos in the city essentially give you an indication of how expensive it is to live there, how much public services, how many public services are available to that strato. So it's like areas or neighborhoods are classified into stratos. Now Laureles is strato 4, I believe, so out of 5. So it's one of the highest stratos there are in Medellín, one of the more expensive areas. However, what's really beautiful is that 4 years ago, around 4-5 years ago, the Medellín government actually implemented a greening project. So really all over Medellín, whether it's in Strato 5 or in Strato 1 or 2, they greened or greenified the neighborhoods. So this, while it might seem, and right, this is the case for a lot of places in the world, right? The richer the area, the greener the area. So in Medellín, this is not necessarily the case. In Medellin, it doesn't matter where you go, you will find plants, beautiful trees, green,
I mean,
and I have to say,
what is this?
this
This
is one
my
of,
first time seeing this tree.
yeah, same actually.
Did you see that
And I mean,
flower?
it looks like
Wow.
a scrunchie. I mean, look at that. I also noticed, so you see this? You see these insects? Hold on. You see these insects? I think they're actually a small... I'm not sure if... They're definitely pollinators, but I'm not sure if they're flies or bees. But what I have noticed as well, Colombia, or at least the Antioquia region around Medellin, so Medellin is a city around Antioquia, and this area, it has bees that I've never seen before, like really small light bees, light brown bees, and it's just, it's an experience, this place, like just nature wise it's an experience. And much like the diversity of the plants and the insects, you can imagine the diversity of the birds as well. So I think I've seen pretty much every color of bird since I arrived in Medellin 2 weeks ago. I've seen parrots, I've seen the parakeets, I've seen tiny yellow birds, I've seen blackbirds with bright highlighter red feathers in lining their coats, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, look, we're talking now for like 12 minutes or something, and we're just walking around the city, and we find just bushes of this green everywhere you go. And I mean, Luisa and I have a theory. That's her right there. We have a theory that even though it seems like people are taking care of these plants in some form or fashion. Look at that. Giant butterfly flying away. But yeah, people are taking care of these plants in some form or fashion. They are, and by the way, yeah, this is like really the house plant that we all want to get. But yeah, we think people take care of these plants somehow, but at the same time it looks like you don't really need to. It looks like you really can just let these plants grow here without doing much. And I reckon, so another interesting thing we learned the other day is that this valle, big butterfly, lots of colors. This valle that Medellin is in, which is Valle Aburrada, I believe, Valle Aburra, something like that, which means kind of boring, I think, in Spanish. In this valley that Medellin is located in, because Medellin is surrounded by mountains, right? It's one of the top 3 places in the world for lightning strikes. And this is also something that we've noticed, I believe, on average, every second night, while being here in Medellin for the last 2 weeks, and it's not the rainy season yet. We have seen lightning strikes, we've heard thunders. I would, in some ways, compare Medellin to Ireland, actually, because I know when I was in Ireland with Luisa, I met a few people there who would say, you know, in Ireland, the weather changes every 5 minutes. So Medellin is not far off from that. You know, 5 minutes sunshine, 5 minutes rain. But the sunshine is strong. I mean, we're at 1,500 meters altitude, more or less, in the city. The sunshine is strong. And it's warm. So you can imagine nature just really just grows, it proliferates. And another thing I've noticed about Medellin, which just happened to me now, is dog poop. everywhere. People really don't. There's a lot of dogs in Medellin, which is awesome, but people really don't clean up much after them, which means you really have to watch out where you're walking when you're walking, and filming yourself is a risk, which I have just fallen prey to, because I just stepped on some dog poop. So I'm gonna quickly go clean that off here. And yeah, I mean, look, even this, wherever you go, wherever you stand, there's like, you see there, mushrooms, all kinds of things. So yeah, it's just crazy. Medellin is a beautiful green city with a lot of variety. And this is just one area, and walking for 15 minutes. Wait till we go somewhere else. We're now in a different barrio, different neighborhood. And this reminds me a lot of, well, to me it's a bit like a smaller South African suburb. Has a bit like, it's comparable to sort of like, it has a United States feeling, but everything is smaller, of course. But again, suburbs, but it's in the middle of the city, you know, and just green everywhere. As I keep saying, green sprinkled in with a little bit of just red, colorful colors, and quite interesting architecture as well, as you see behind me. Big windows sprinkled in. It reminds me of like these American neighborhoods, sort of like suburbs where everything feels super safe and sort of almost made for kids to play in. And it's really around every corner. You have these incredible, stunning, vibrant colors just laughing at you. And on top of all of that, when you look there in the background, maybe you see it, is just the beautiful mountains of Medellin. And what you'll also notice, if ever you come to Medellin, go to Medellin, is it's a very, very dog-friendly city. Lots of people with dogs all over the place. Really, wherever you go, there's people walking around with dogs, and it's just absolutely stunning. Buenas. I mean, look at that. That's what it feels like to really live in a botanical garden. And I mean, you see these houses, they're like small 2-3 story houses. It's not uncommon for these houses, these townhouses, to be inhabited by, say, 1 or 2 families. But again, this is a Strato 4, so still quite high up in Medellin, and you can see it. You can see the fact that there are these houses located on flat areas. Usually the lower you go in Strato, the higher you go up the mountain in Medellin. So you see back there now, maybe in the background, you see some of the high rises and some of the lights going up there on the mountain. So that's quite common. You find the poorer areas up high in the mountains, with definitely, of course, a few exceptions. So Floresta is yes, one of the higher stratos, but then, for instance, Centro, which is the center of Medellin, that's a little bit, a lot would agree that is one of the dodgier areas of town. So yeah, I feel like on the one hand, you cannot get tired of this unbelievable nature that you have around here. And it really does feel like every corner you turn, you see stunning plants and flowers, and a new one every couple of meters that you don't recognize. And at the same time, it's almost impossible to really transport you to this incredible feeling of what it's like to essentially walk through a city that is the equivalent of a botanical garden in other countries. You know, because that's really what it feels like. And I mean, I could go on for hours. I mean, you know, you see it's a bit darker now. The bats are gonna start coming out anytime soon, and these are big bats. These are like, you know, like this big, these bats flying around here. And at the same time, you go around and you see just these unbelievably beautiful flowers and bushes and plants and trees, just, and people take care of them. I've seen it many times, you know. People, they work all day, and after having worked all day, they come home and they take care of the plants in front of their houses. And I mean, look at this now. This looks like some kind of a bean with beautiful flowers on top. Again, then you have these giant palm trees sprinkled around. And as you're walking, you probably hear this. You hear the beautiful birds just singing. And it's almost as if you're kind of like in a paradise. It's really hard to convey this. And I feel like with video, it's really the closest you can get to conveying it. But even so, you have to experience it yourself to just enjoy the beauty of it. Honestly, I recommend anybody who enjoys parks, who enjoys flowers, plants, even just got a real strong smell of jasmine. And that's another thing, you walk around here and you have these beautiful smells just keep coming at you. And it's almost a bit like a joke. Other places, they feel like they try to create this sensation through a lot of work and attention, which is of course great. But then when you go to a place that combines all of that plus, you know, beautiful city, lights, and really amazing people. I mean, you know, if you want to, you can go out into Medellín any day of the week and you can strike up conversations with strangers and you will learn a lot of interesting things. They're really kind, really welcoming, really hospitable. They invite you. I mean, the other day we were essentially going to a coffee shop and the guy we met there, Joaquin, we spoke to him for maybe 15-20 minutes, and he literally invited us to join him on visiting, or join him on a quick trip outside of Medellín, maybe 2 hours, to visit a coffee farm and get to know everything about the coffee farm there. And he just did that out of the blue. He was like, okay, yeah, by coincidence I'm going there, do you want to join me? And that's just one of so many experiences where we've struck up conversations and beautiful experiences just by speaking to people in Medellín. So when you take all of that together, and I mean, look at this, where are we? Just beautiful suburban looking area. Yeah, when you combine all of that, it's just an incredibly beautiful city. So with that being said, I think that's us for tonight. We're gonna go enjoy more of this incredible green in the evening, and see you soon.
When you realize that Medellín is a botanical garden.
I was still talking when you started. When you realize you moved to a botanical garden. You realize you moved to a botanical garden! Botanical garden, you say?